Just to go to Mike, actually, on this. Obviously, at Mike, you work a lot on interoperability. When it comes to ticketing between the two, obviously this is an issue even just in rail, because cross-border, a lot of the different railways use different ticketing systems, different technologies. What do you see as the challenges with ticketing in air-rail partnerships?
The challenge is that whereas we've been lucky through IATA to have a single ticketing standard for the last 50 or 60 years, if you go to 100 railway companies in Europe and ask them what is their ticketing standard, you will have 100 different ticketing standards. So it's a complete dog's breakfast. And so what's happened over the last few years when we've been looking at air-rail partnerships, the airlines have been reluctant to change their single way of doing things like ticketing to one or two or three or four different ways that railways may choose to do. And so really a lot of the cooperation is based on the airline standard. Now that really puts the onus on the railways to change their systems, to adapt them, so that they can be more like how the airlines do their business, and certainly in terms of ticketing. And before this event started, we were having a chat with Thales, and that's exactly what they've done. They've somehow adapted to be using the, if you will, like the airline electronic ticket as a standard, so that they can not only process their passengers in that way, but more importantly, sell like the airlines sell in partnership. And here's the other key thing: they can then use that standard to sell through the travel agents. Whereas railways, as a general rule, only sell something like, say, 5 to 15% of their tickets through travel agents. The rest of it is done online through their ticket sales offices at the railway stations. The airline business is different, or about half is sold through third parties. So it's always been very important for us to have a single standard that we can promulgate outside just the airline community. And so part of our, I think the opportunity for the railways is not only to have joint products with airlines, but also have those joint products sold through the travel agents, as the airline product is today. So I think there's lots of upside for the railways. It's just that they come from a very fragmented base.
Okay, so the railways may be working more with the TMCs, the OTAs, that could actually help them.
Yeah, but I think that everybody, whoever you deal with, if you're a railway and if you offer your ticketing system, your reservation system, whichever entity you're going to deal with, they say, well, that's different. So does that mean I have to change or adapt my systems for every single 100 railways I want to do business with? That doesn't make business sense. Okay,
so we really need to get to, well, it's been talked about for years now, getting that one ticket across Europe, which hopefully will happen one day.
Well, I think the key thing is, and I think Eric touched on it very briefly right at the beginning, is that whereas there's a lot we can do with the current way airlines distribute their product, including electronic ticketing and so forth, what Eric is looking at with another group is what we call new distribution capability, which is selling things a little bit more like how people sell through their internet sites. Now, even the railways, they sell through their internet sites. And so what we're looking for is, on the airline side, a common API, if you will, to be able to give third parties to use to sell the products and services as the airlines sell them through their internet site. And if we can crack that, we can then say to the railways, why don't you have a common railway API? So you just take all the product information and schedules and everything you do through your websites and sell that through the third parties in a common way. And I think that would make things, I think we'd be basically leaping ahead of technology. It's a bit like living in Africa when it takes you years and years to get a landline, and then somebody puts a post up, and then suddenly everybody's got a mobile phone. So I think that's what we're really talking about. We're talking about taking the airline distribution system to a new level based on how airlines sell through the internet site. And if that's going to work, then I think we can share that with the railways and indeed other players in the travel industry.
Okay, fantastic. So actually integrating their distribution system with the ancillaries on there and making it quite easy for the passenger, but actually having that information on an online travel agency, basically displayed in the same kind of format, the same way they would like it to be displayed.
Yeah, and I think the key issue here is the reason, one of the big drivers why we're looking at this just for the airlines, is that the product is not simple anymore. It's not you pay one price and everything's included. You get a basic passage from A to B on an aeroplane, and everything else is, as Eric said, an ancillary service. Do you want to reserve a seat? Do you want to have a meal? Which meal would you like? Do you want lounge access? And so forth. And these are all things that the airlines are doing for various reasons, for various good business reasons. They can't really sell that well through third parties using today's technology, which is why we're looking at a big shift in how this is sold.